Good morning. Good
Good
morning, ladies.
morning.
This is our holiday edition of Mom Chat. My name is Jennifer Bibb. I and my husband are on the executive pastoral team. What is it? Executive pastoral team at Legacy Center Church in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I am currently in Rochester, though, because we're in transition. So I'm in Rochester, New York, as we're doing that transition. And I'm here with some wonderful mom friends of mine, Pastor Valerie Frazier and Pastor Danielle Hathaway. And I always like to tell how I met them. And so I think I met Danielle at a conference some years back together. And I think I met Pastor Valerie the same way, but I have just loved to watch them and their families. And why, like, Danielle has 6 kids. She'll tell y'all. Okay, she will tell y'all. But I love seeing the Hathaway 8. I love her and her husband and their family. And Pastor Valerie, I have been seeing you online, and you just have just you and your husband have a really beautiful story. And so even in your pictures, everything is just so pristine. I'm like, she got to be on my holiday show, but I know you're going to tell us more about that. But so I'm just really excited to have you guys. Danielle, introduce yourself to us.
Hey everyone, I am Danielle Hathaway. I'm married to the fabulous, awesome, my best friend, Apostle Mike Hathaway. Together we have 6 kids. We pastor a church called New Generation Church in Richmond. We have 2 campuses, one in Richmond, one in Hopewell. We're entrepreneurs. And like I said, we have a huge family. We just love the Lord and just love doing what he's called us to do.
Amen. Your husband is on. Look, I see him over here. What's up, Apostle Mike? We see you in the comments. Pastor Valerie, introduce yourself.
Good morning. My husband and I are founders of Kingdom Family International Church here in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And we're entering our 20th year of pastoral services. So we're excited about that. And we have 2 adult children. But I come from a family of 6, 5 girls and 1 boy. So family traditions are utmost important to me, and just navigating them to the next generation, it does have its challenges.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about it. I agree. And I always want to make sure I shout out my husband. Thank you, babe. He does all of my graphics. He does all of my everything, the flyers, the graphics, the intro. He created all that stuff. And I would be nothing if it wasn't for him. As far as I would be nothing as far as this show goes if it wasn't for him. So thank you, babe. You do such a good job at keeping me all together. And then we have an admin, Heather, and I know she's behind the scenes, but she does such a great job. And I want to make sure that I shout her out too. So thank you guys. And my kids, I forgot to tell you about my kids. Yeah. I got 3 kids. Timothy, London, and Judah. Timothy Tay is 20 years old. He's in college at Howard University. Yeah. And he gets homesick, so he's ready to come home and get here for the holidays. And then London, she's 16, and then Judah, he's 10. So I thank God for my kids and my family. But as we're going to start this holiday edition, the holidays is a wild time when you have a family, when you're trying to juggle between families. And I just want to talk about some of the ways that you guys do that with a large family, with, especially, you know, the in-law side and all of that, it could be a circus. It could be a circus. And there were some things that I had to learn myself with having family, in-laws, different things, and how to kind of create traditions for myself and stuff like that. And so I can't wait to dig in and hear what you guys have to say, and hear some good stuff that you guys have going on for your own families and stuff. Here's what I want to start with. I want you guys to tell me some of the ways you created holiday traditions for your own family outside of the in-laws and different stuff like that, because we'll keep talking about it. But what are some ways that you created your own family traditions? For me, I'll start here for myself. I know I had we have 3 children, and then we have my husband's born and raised in Winston-Salem, so his whole family is there. And I am kind of from New York, but from Long Island, from different things. And I have a smaller family than what he has. So initially for years, we just split it down the middle. We'll spend Thanksgiving with your family, Christmas with my family. And that was just it. It was no split up. We've been married almost 22 years. It was never a split up. It's like we spend Thanksgiving with your family, Christmas with my family, and that is it. That was just the easiest way to do it. And then my grandparents died. And it did something to me to where Christmas, I was like, my last living grandparent died in 2019, and something shook inside of me. And I'm like, I don't want to do Christmas with my family like that anymore. Bad. And my grandparents are not there, and I just want to do what I want to do. So I think that next Christmas, I think 2019, I spent Christmas at our house. I was like, I don't want to see any of my extended family like that. And then 2020 went on a cruise, and then we moved. So we it was an emotional thing for me. So Danielle, tell me about some of your family traditions.
Wow. For me, I was always a homebody, so I love staying at home. And but I come from a big family, so one of the things I had to learn was that I have to share. Like you have to share yourself, share your kids and stuff like that. But to speak to just a tradition for my family, like for Thanksgiving, we will kind of just decide. First, it starts with me and my husband. We have to decide, okay, what we're going to do. I really don't. I cook for my house. So that's a tradition. I will cook my Thanksgiving food for our house. Because you got to imagine this. 8 people showing up at your house, taking 8 plates home. You're not gonna have that much food. And so, but no one comes to our house. It's always like if you have a matriarch in your family, like a grandparent still living, it's always family wants to go where that person is, just like you had stated. But I did realize that I have to start some type of tradition at my house. I want to cook for my kids. I want to have some things that I like. And honestly, it started off because I needed food when I came home. So I had to buckle down and say, let me cook for the kids. So I will cook. My tradition is I will still cook, and we will eat really, really early. I'm a big breakfast person, so I love doing breakfast. You're going to always get breakfast when you come to my house, a whole spread. But then we'll have like our Thanksgiving meal, maybe like 1, 2 o'clock, because the kids want to go and see their family. And so we allow that. So that's a tradition that we decided to do. So I'll cook my meals at home. We'll eat early, and then we decide where we want to go. For Christmas, it's kind of the same way.
Same. I cook a meal too, and the kids are always like, "Mom, you cooking your meal?" And then, so yeah, I did that too. Same. Valerie, tell us about you.
Well, first, coming from a large family, you have to establish many traditions. Fortunate for my husband and I, we're from the same hometown, so there's no split.
Wow.
And not to mention the same hometown, but we're neighbors. We're next door neighbors, so we didn't have to experience, splitting or where we're going this time or whatever. So we're thankful for that. But what we've done as we call it the Fraser family policy. So I established early on with the kids during Christmas, it's not your birthday. So don't expect a whole lot of spending. Your birthday is your birthday. This is a commemoration of Christ's birthday. So we didn't do a whole lot of toy purchasing. They purchased some things, and I wanted them to wake up in their house. So they will wake up in their house Christmas, and then we would drive about 2.5 hours to Morehead City, where our parents live, so they can share in, them and Christmas. But for Thanksgiving, we would all pack up and go home to the parents. And I decided I've never cooked a turkey. I've never made my own stuffing. So the tradition would be the Sunday before Thanksgiving, we would have our Thanksgiving dinner. So that would give me the experience. But as long as they were in school, there were times we did a cruise. We cruised during Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We cruised during Christmas. We would either leave after Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and go to the beach and spend some time. But then there's a shift, when they become adults, and you have to make the shift with them, because I call them the now generation. And the now generation does not want to be told what to do.
Oh,
Our generation, when I say our, I turned 59 on Monday. We were told what to do and we did it.
yeah.
The expectation was stated, we will see you Thanksgiving, and we packed up and we went. But with them transitioning to adulthood, we had to take a step back.
Can you tell me about, how old are your kids?
Okay, my son is 33.
Okay.
He is single. Okay. My daughter just turned 30. She married, and this is what I was telling you, she married 7 years ago. So from that time, she has totally, if I could be transparent, isolated herself from the family.
Oh,
okay. So that first Thanksgiving could have been a bummer. And what I decided to do, I have living parents. My father is 87 in great health. My mom is 81 in good health. So what I did, instead of sitting back, licking my wounds, being disappointed, I shift the attention to my parents, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we make this big to do about going to our parents' house. And my son normally tags along, shows up Thanksgiving Day. He'll stay a day or two. But I've had to shift, or the holidays could become very depressing and discouraging to me. And we've got to find, as long as we are breathing, we've got to find joy in life, in spite of our circumstances, in spite of what we may or may not be going through. We owe that to ourselves, if that makes sense. So there's been a shift, and sometimes the parents would come up to my sisters and we're all together, or we go down there. But during the pandemic, I don't know if you guys remember this. I think it may have been 2020. We were, or maybe 19 or 20. We were afraid to gather, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
So everybody stayed in their prospective homes. The first time probably in all of my life that we didn't gather as a family. But the following year, post-pandemic, the new tradition is we rent a large beach house so we can kind of spread out. Everybody can not be on top of each other, and we spread out. And we have Thanksgiving dinner there, and we have it near my parents. They live near the beach. So they come and we get to cook, and we're trying to get my mom not to be so involved in the cooking so she can rest, but you know how they are. But that's the new tradition now.
Yeah. You know what? I love it, because I think you actually touched on several of my next questions, which is, so what you touched about was your daughter, your older children, them having their own traditions, and even how to adjust to having adult children. My son, Timothy, he asked me in August, he's like, Mom, one of my friends want me to come home with them for Thanksgiving. Do you mind? And I'm like, no, I don't really mind. I mean, you're 20, you get to make that decision.
That's right.
But it really did bug me.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's homesick. So he told a friend, like, I'm going home. Like, I'm not, I need to go home to my parents. But I'm like, I really had to like adjust my expectations for, I'm like, you're 20 years old. You do get to make your own decisions, because I had to do it for myself too. And so even when you kind of talked about Christmas, not having all these gifts, I had made a 3-gift rule for my kids years back. Listen, moms out here that are listening, if you have to create your own expectations for your family. You got to create your own things. And for me, it's like I was poor, honestly. I was a single mom, broke, and I'm like, I'm not about to break my neck or break my back for Christmas for kids, especially when you got lights on, you got a roof over your head, you got food in your belly. It's like, we're gonna get these 3 gifts and we're gonna call it a day, because I cannot stress myself out about gifts or giving you things that I can't afford, and so that was a thing I created for Christmas for my family. Like, no.
That's good.
And that 3-gift rule, we still have it to this day.
That's good. But if we reflect back, ladies, when we grew up, Christmas time was the time you got that coat that you needed. You got those shoes that you were in need of. It's Christmas every day. We don't wait until Christmas to purchase the things that they need. So it's like, free yourself. We freed ourselves.
Yes.
And when they were smaller, because my son was born in November, he wouldn't open all those gifts on his birthday. I would save some of them for Christmas.
Listen, you got to do what you got to do. Danielle, now you have older kids too. So what are you learning about how to manage your own expectations with older kids?
With my older ones, right now they're not dating that I know of. So, that's only a little bit. They're not going to tell me everything. But I believe my expectations of them are very healthy. I know I'm the type of parent that I like to parent them like God sees them, and so I have to allow them to be their own person.
Yeah.
I will give them my advice. I will be with them, but you can't hover your children all the time. You got to allow them to. And I'm the type of person that feels like I want to walk with you into your adulting stage.
That's good.
So I don't want full control over you. And so with that, I will go to my older kids and say, hey, what do you want to do? I try to talk to them to see who's in their life and stuff like that. And let them know, especially with my boys, I let them know, like, hey, if you're interested in somebody, why don't you bring them around? I want them to know that it's okay, that you don't have those type of parents that's going to be like, we try to hold that in our back pocket. But that's going to be like, oh, no, you can't date. You can't do this. We're Christians. We're not that type of people. I want to be in your life. I want to see who's around you so I can know what to pray for.
Yeah,
that's good.
I can be engaged. So right now for the holidays, they don't really do anything, but I want to go to grandma's house. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I encourage, like, it's okay to go out and share holidays with your friends. Now, my daughter, my 17-year-old, she's an event planning type of girl.
Yeah.
Everything is an event, so she does, like, I think they call it Friendsgiving or something like that. Yeah, so she has that in her plans and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, that's good. Just let me know the dates. Let's agree on some times. And that because I want to allow them to create, their own traditions.
Yeah.
Traditions outside of us. And it's healthy to walk with them because they're going to one day have their own families.
That's true.
And I want to display, a healthy balance. So it's all about just balancing it, balancing your life, balancing your upbringing, and the traditions that you want to keep. And there's going to be some traditions, honestly, that your children may not want to keep that you've started. So I want to engage with them in conversation just to see where they at and kind of just guide them the best way I can.
I love that. And I think both of you touched on having this now generation of kids who are going to have their own traditions. Because even though I look, on Monday I'll be 43. So my birthday is coming up. But I think you're right about just the expectation. I know me and Tim have been married almost 22 years in January.
Mhm.
It was just an expectation. You show up where the family tells you to show up.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, y'all going to decide, but we did split Thanksgiving and we did split Christmas, but that was with family. And so it wasn't about, well, this is what I want to do. It wasn't actually until my grandparents passed that I suddenly was
Mhm.
like, wait, this is what I want. But you're so right about the younger generation of kids kind of being like,
Mhm.
I do me. Like, this is what I feel. And so even though my kids are not fully, I got a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old like yours,
Mhm.
Danielle. London is an event person. She's always with friends. As a matter of fact, she's with friends right now. And they always doing something. But I am trying to prepare myself for when they decide, like, this is what I want to do for my own holidays. I'm gonna be tore up though. I'm gonna be honest.
It is not easy.
Yeah.
It is
So
not easy.
how did you, and Pastor Valerie, like, I appreciate your openness of like, I had to decide my own joy. It's like, girl, if you're gonna isolate yourself, but how have you dealt with that over the holidays over and over? Like, the disappointment of that. Is it still disappointing?
It becomes easier every year, if
Okay.
that makes sense. The first year, I mean, I'm just devastated. And but I decided, am I gonna rob not just myself, the family? Because you said your daughter is the coordinator. I'm the coordinator in my family. I
Yeah.
coordinate and tell we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it. We're having game night on Tuesday night. We're doing this on Wednesday night. So I'm the coordinator. So if the coordinator is not coordinating, she finds herself
Yeah.
breaking the family tradition. And,
Yeah.
and what I just, like I said, I had to shift and be thankful. How many 59-year-old, my oldest sister 64, how many 64-year-olds do you know have a living mother and father
Yes.
in good health? We're
Yes.
not going to a nursing home to gather around their beds. We don't have to gather around a hospital bed in their home. They're up and vibrant. So I had to steal that joy back that the enemy stole.
Come
And
on.
I focus on being with my sisters and my brother and their family and enjoying every moment that I have with my parents.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful. And I think it's just kind of like finding the joy again. Losing my grandparents, it just like shook something. It shook something in me that I'm like, Lord, I have to find what brings me joy during the holidays. Because when they moved from New York to Virginia, it was just like clockwork. Every Christmas, I know I'm going to go be with my grandparents. And I know my mom and my uncle, everybody would be there, but it was like they were that glue. And when the glue, goes away, it's like, I don't know. It just rattled me in a way that it's like, I didn't have joy around Christmas.
Right.
And then I had to like find it. And even
Right.
though I can find it within my own family, it was just tough. And so it took me a couple of years to like really just reset, like, oh God, what do holidays mean for me? What do holidays mean for my family? And of course, we know that the holidays are really a grim time, sometimes for people who deal with mental illness, who deal with, family separation, who have, struggles within. So I thank you for kind of talking about how do you reset your joy?
And grief is real.
Yes.
Grief, it is real. My mother-in-law, who's been dead for about 16 years, she died at Christmas, and Christmas was our time. She bought me
Wow.
my first Christmas tree. We made Christmas ornaments. We purchased Christmas decoration, and she died right before Christmas, and I coordinated all of her funeral arrangements. So I was on this autopilot, and
Man.
I didn't allow myself to grieve. And then the following year, as I'm unpackaging Christmas decorations, and I run across Christmas decorations that she's purchased over the years, I just crashed. I just crashed, and they thought I was acting. We're putting up the Christmas tree, and my school age kids at the time, they thought I was acting, and the grief had been pent up for a year. But I had to let it go And I just try to think of, the good things. And I still have different ornaments and different things that I do put out during this
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
to remember her and
Yeah.
the joy that we enjoyed, when she was in the earth.
Oh, I love that. Now, do you guys do anything to honor her for those Christmases, or how do you deal with that?
Other than putting out these little items that we've collected over the years, that's pretty much it. Now,
Yeah.
this year I was thinking about donating maybe the poinsettias to her church
Yeah.
in her memory, and it's been
Okay.
16 years, but we've never visited the gravesite. We just kind of, moved on.
Yeah.
So it's not like we lay flowers or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just, something we decided early
Yeah.
on.
Oh man, but that's beautiful, but painful at the same time, just to
Mhm.
know that you're dealing with that type of loss during the holidays. And I know I used to work with people that had chronic and persistent mental illness, and the holidays was one of the toughest times for those people. And all my clients would go into crisis, and it would just be
Wow.
such a dark time for them.
Mhm.
And so I think, and then when I pastored a church, our admin Heather has an organization called Love and Hope, and we used to go out like weekly to feed the homeless in different times. And as soon as the holiday season hit, it would be like the worst times in those shelters. And so it's like managing your expectations around everybody is not joyful, and just kind of
Yeah.
having the empathy to say, like, okay, I know that this is not a joyful time for everybody. So how can I be empathetic? How can I be thoughtful? How can I be mindful? Those are the type of things. Danielle, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say this, like, especially around Christmas. My husband he used to have heavy anxiety around Christmas. And we used to have a joke, and I'm like, you're just a little Scrooge around Christmas. But then when we sat down and explained it, because Christmas has been commercialized a
Yes.
lot, and so it's a lot of emphasis on gifts and presents and all of
Right.
those things versus like cherishing and loving and
Yeah.
Christ. And so when we had that conversation, he just shared with me like the pressures of people of expectations, especially as the man of the household, the pressure of trying to provide and do all of these things. It's just a lot of pressure. It's a lot of
Mhm.
pressure, it's a lot of stress. And then when I looked at his perspective, I just let him know that I was like, listen, the way I grew up, I kind of grew up old school. He did too, but I kind of grew up old school. And Christmas for us, I'm number 5, y'all, out of 10 children.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
So Christmas for
Wow.
us was we grew up learning how to share. We shared a lot of things. My memories were cooking and baking
Mhm, mhm.
and making little things like that, oranges and fruit in your stocking.
listen,
So
those little
that
peanuts or
was like
walnuts or whatever.
little,
Yes.
yes, Christmas candies and cracking walnuts, telling
Yes.
stories and looking at movies. The gifts was secondary to the fellowship.
I love
Right.
that.
And so
Right.
that is the way I raise my kids. So like for Christmas, it's like when the holidays come around, like there's a station, I believe it's 99.1 or something in Richmond. And
Mhm.
on Thanksgiving Day,
They
they
switch.
do a countdown and they do the Christmas
Wow.
jump in the car and like wait for so it's like we're building little memories like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Wait for the Christmas song to start playing, baking cookies. I like go online, look for
Yep.
your crafts, look for this, because we're
Yep.
gonna do this. So the gifts come secondary.
That's
And
good.
but I've learned that was by nature because how I was raised. But what I learned was I was building a tradition by keeping it going, excited about, okay, let's go to church. We're gonna go to church.
Yeah.
We're gonna pass out candy cans and like so it's just like teaching them a different way than oh, I want all of these things. Now they're still kids and they ask me for things, lots of things, and so lots of
Yeah.
$400, $300 things.
The
But
PS5, your kids asking for that?
yes,
Yeah. I
and
got
and
one asking for
shoes
that.
and all of this. But
Yeah.
like Pastor Valerie is saying, like you have to do some of the things that they need are done throughout the year.
Oh, yeah.
what alleviates some of that stress is not putting so much heavy emphasis on the holidays as it pertains to gifts, but
That's
putting
good.
emphasis on the fellowship and the love. Because as you spoke about, Jennifer, um, people pass away,
Yeah.
so you want to create, hey, see your family. It's
Yeah.
important. Know your family. Know
Yeah.
who's a part of your family so you won't be dating your family
Yeah.
type
Right.
stuff. So you want to put emphasis on that in versus like what I got to give everybody. So and to do something practical, like when you having, because on my husband's side of the family, they like draw names and you
Hmm.
have to give gifts. But sometimes if that's 8 gifts that's coming out of my family,
Okay.
out of my
Yeah.
pocket, right? So you might just get a card. You
Yeah.
might just get a platter of cookies.
Yeah.
You might,
Yeah.
so to alleviate stress, and we have to teach that. Like, it's not just about the gift. Some people may
It's
not
not.
have it. It's about coming together, and sharing love with one another. That's what it's
That's
about.
good.
That is so good. And then even knowing, like somebody typed in the comments, gifts are secondary. I think that is so important. And then managing family disappointment. You're right. I had my husband's family did that little pick a name. And I'm like, yo, right now we're too poor to pick a name. So we're not going to pick a name. God bless y'all. There's been years I didn't gave my nieces and nephews little bags of candy because it's the best I could do. I had a family member one time like call me cheap. And I'm like, you don't pay my mortgage, girl. You don't pay my light bill. You didn't pay none of my bills. And it's like, you know what? I didn't even feel bad about that. It's like, you could give me, you could say whatever, but you're not in my household. And so the stress I was trying not to carry, you're trying to put on me. And so it's like learning that disappointing your family that maybe have money, that maybe have, an ability to give. It's like, they'll be okay. You will not die from disappointment. And so learning what you really have and not putting the pressure on yourself to do a whole bunch during this season when you can't do it. If you can't do it, do not lie. Do not lie. I know parents that go get second jobs, that do all this stuff to go give these gifts to kids who sometimes they're not even appreciative of the gifts.
Not even appreciative.
And we definitely live in a generation where, I don't know, maybe my kids are like, they never struggled like I struggled. My grandparents made Christmas happen for us, but we struggled with we struggled. And so it's like my mom was a single mom for years. My dad dealt heavy with drug addiction, and my kids have not experienced that. So sometimes they have an expectation. And even they're funny. They're like, y'all got us in the suburbs in that private school. Don't act like y'all don't have money.
But sometimes
taking the money.
Right.
Sometimes we have to be okay with breaking tradition.
Yes.
And there's a passage in the Bible that says the traditions of men sometimes make the word of God of none effect. We have, like you said, commercialized Christmas so much so we're forgetting about those in need. We're only heaping, all this stuff on ourselves.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, like I said, coming from a family of 6, so that was 8.
Yep.
We started the exchange. So like that's 4 gifts. And then we stopped the exchange, and then we allowed the children to exchange. We stopped that altogether. We do not exchange. I have no Christmas shopping to do for anybody. And I told our kids, Christmas is for the needy, not the greedy. Okay?
Come on.
Somebody type that in the chat. It really is.
Not the greedy. That'll preach.
For real though. And if I may boast in the Lord, God has just blessed my family, my sisters and my brother. 3 of the older ones are retired. And there is nothing that we really need. There is nothing that we just don't buy for ourselves. So we stop exchanging altogether. And as a family, we find a family in need and make a donation to them.
Come on.
Stress alleviated.
Yes, that's so really beautiful. That is so beautiful. There were some years in Winston-Salem where I used to get, community and giving back is always a big thing for me. So I will do it all through the year. And so there were years where I would take my kids, okay, let's go donate toys. Let's go do this. Since I moved here, or, I haven't necessarily done that, and in a while I haven't given them like a give back. They do it through their school, but that's really important. I think the element of saying, hey, let's find a family that we can bless, man, that is so beautiful, because it gets you outside of yourself. It gets you to stop thinking about your little needs. And this generation, and this, it's capitalism, it's commercialized, so everything is why they start celebrating Christmas November 1st. I'm like, come on, y'all. Don't do Thanksgiving. It's why we celebrate so early, because they're pushing it out so that you can spend those dollars. So I get it. And I think for any parents that are listening that might be struggling financially, find your kids a way to give back. Take the pressure off of yourself to do so much for the holidays as far as money is concerned.
Too much.
And give them things that are outside of themselves. They're already let them ring that. Yes, they are already ringing that Salvation Army bell.
Yes,
they out here early because they know the season, and so they know
it's
people
here.
are spending money. You're right, Janine. That is so true. But it's like but give your kids a sense of community to give back. It'll teach them so much, and it'll help them kind of step outside of themselves. And we're not even talking about the toxic nature of charity. We're talking about let us give back. Let us show other people that this is not about us, that the holiday season is not about us. It's about others. So I love that. I love disappoint folks. Your family, everybody's fine. Disappointment never kill nobody. Disappointment.
And we reinforced it all year. We did. So when there was a need and we made a purchase, I tell them Merry Christmas. It could be in March. They want a pair of shoes. Merry Christmas. It could be July. It could be. I just paid to register you to play high school football. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
To let them know you living through Christmas all year, son.
Come on. That's really beautiful. Kendra said, give back Chloe. You better get that baby what she wants. She's only one. Now you give her whatever it is that she needs. But I feel like it is important to create early, though, those traditions of not overindulging. So even though I'm joking, it's like I don't overindulge these kids with things that they technically don't need. Janine said, we're taking a trip this year. Merry Christmas. Yes. When we did our cruise last year, we did not do gifts. The only thing we did was the cruise. Y'all got on this boat. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so then we asked them, okay, how did you feel about doing no gifts and doing the trip? They're like, well, we kind of liked it, but we went like the week before Christmas. So we were at home on Christmas, like, y'all remember last week? That's what we was doing last week. And so they kind of were like, I don't know how that felt. It could have felt good if we were there right at Christmas, but I guess it just didn't feel good to not have any gifts. I guess they felt like, and they didn't have any gifts. It's like your gift was last week when we got on that boat, and then we got off.
Right.
And this happened to me as well.
Yeah. Now, how did that go?
Well, my husband and I decided to do something different for Christmas one year. That's when we were figuring out, hey, we need to create our own traditions. So we said, let's take the whole family to Disney. Now, taking a family of 8 to Disney is extremely expensive.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, for Christmas, that's going to be our gift. We're going to stay there for a few days. We're going to be there on Christmas. So we did. And man, those kids of mine, disrespectful. Those kids did not appreciate it. They did not appreciate it. They were like, oh, we're just walking. Oh, we don't have no gifts. It's Christmas Day. And I'm looking like, you're at Disneyland. You are in Florida. You're at Disney. We're at this fabulous hotel. But I learned something so powerful. A lot of times the reason why we're stressed is because the parents, we're doing things that we think they want.
Yeah,
we're living up to these expectations that we didn't get when we were younger. Do all of these things, and it means nothing to those kids. So you're looking $5,000, $6,000 later, and they didn't. I could have saved that $6,000, And so what I've learned and what I try to teach parents is like, especially when your kids are young,
Yeah.
When your kids are young, you should not be breaking your bank account.
Don't break the bank.
2-year-old, 3-year-old who's not even going to remember it. They're going to look at pictures. So you can be very, very simple with your giving. And I learned then, like, some of that stuff you're trying to live out because that's something that you wanted to do, and it didn't work. Now, fast forward, I want to say it was like 3 years later, they was like, "Oh, I see. That was a good thing that you did." And I was like, "I didn't do it again." But they did say it was a good thing, But like I said, it made me realize, like, sometimes things are just better simple.
Yes.
Sometimes they're just better simple, and you don't have to do all this extraordinary things. Because there's life after Christmas.
There's
life
Absolutely.
after Christmas.
Those bills come around faithfully.
Listen, that mortgage is still due.
Yes.
Yes. Listen, we had a comment. Janine said her boys were listening now, asking me if they're getting gifts because they're going on a trip. Tell the boys that they choose, Janine. Tell them they'll be fine. That trip is the gift. You know what? Life after Christmas is so important. And I tried to remember that even as my kids were younger, like I never sacrificed the bill for Christmas.
No way.
Nope. I didn't.
No way.
It's like, these lights got to stay on. This mortgage has to get paid. These food you got to eat, and it's
tuition paid, the whole nine.
Yes, that whole thing. So I just never did. And so it's like, I never felt the pressure. And I'm not going to lie and say I never felt pressure to give them things. Yeah. I just had to disappoint myself too, right? Yeah. Like the pressure was, I don't have it. I can't cry about it. I can't do anything more about it. I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years on a one family income. Okay. It's like, I can't make Tim go get 3 jobs in order to pay for y'all's Christmas. We don't have it. We don't. And so when I started working and we did still have it, I still kept it as simple as I could. I will shout out my dad, even my mom at times, grandparents make Christmas special for the kids. They still do, and so it's like, I thank God for that. But I did not, a bigger gift, my dad would go in half and they'd be like, "Where's grandpa's gift?" I'm like, "You looking at it with this one gift." Me and grandpa went in together with this gift, and so I encourage anybody listening that I know that feeling. I know what it feels like to want to give your kids the world because they go back to school and everybody got on their new shoes. They got on their, it's their brand new gear. They got the best new game. And it's like, you could feel so much pressure to make sure that they have the best new. But it's like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And if you start teaching them now that Christmas is for the needy and not the greedy, and that there's life after Christmas, give back, it'll kind of manage their expectations and teach them a level of being able to appreciate more, teach them appreciation. And my kids, Judah, not so much, but the older two definitely have that appreciation of like, oh, okay, Christmas is not necessarily about me, about receiving. Judah, however, he's the baby boy, so he like everything is about me. Christmas, y'all's birthdays, every holiday, everything is about me. I'm still teaching him. How are your younger kids? How are you doing with the younger kids, Danielle? Because what are the ages of the youngers?
All right, we all 6 of them, we break them up in 2 generations. So we got the first gen and the second gen. First gen is 23, 22, 17, 2 boys. The girl is 17. Then the second gen is 2 boys and 1 girl. And that is 14 boy, 11 is my daughter, and then 8.
Okay.
8. And so even for them, the first gen is different. The second gen is different. So the first gen, because I was a little bit younger then when we had them, they kind of walk with us in the struggle. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time.
Yep.
I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband was working. We realized that all of my income at that time years ago was just going to daycare.
Yeah.
it was like, hey, you might as well stay home and raise the kids, you
Yep.
know. And so that's what I did along with pastoring. So our plates have always been full. And then for the second gen, that second gen is out of this world. So they almost like they just have a different perspective, a different attitude, and they're not as like they don't need a whole lot of things, but they walk in a certain type of privilege.
Yes.
That irks the first gen nerves. So it's like, oh no, this is mine. So then I'm going to get it. And that younger one would tell them, like, I'm the youngest. I get what I want. I can do what I want.
That's
like,
that's Judah.
So it's just more so like managing those personalities. But I do tell them all, like, we have to be grateful. If one thing they've heard in our house, oh, we're going to be grateful people. We're going to be grateful for what we have. We're going to be grateful in when we can splurge, grateful when we can't splurge. We're just going to learn how to appreciate things. And you do have to tell them no. You do have to disappoint, because you can't raise children to always like, I get what I want, I expect it. Because life is not set up that way. And if you don't give them boundaries, if you don't teach them boundaries, they're going to have a hard life, because life will teach. Life be lifing, y'all.
Listen.
Life be life.
Listen.
So, especially during those holidays, that's why, like I said, I just have this mantra, this rule, like we got to keep it simple. Now, you're in that simplicity, you may get some wild cards. I may splurge a little bit on something you've been asking for. But if I don't feel no gratitude, I'll wrap that thing right on back up and ship it on out here, because that's not who I'm raising.
Yeah. Teaching your kids gratitude as a young age, it can be hard, but it is necessary. And, you know, that one gen versus that other gen, you're right, Danielle, because Tay, our oldest son, he struggled with us. London sort of did, but then Judah, he doesn't know the struggle. His expectations are just different. And so, but my oldest son really is grateful. He does not ask for a lot. He just doesn't. Well, now, you know, he's a broke college kid. So he just called me last night like, Mama, I'm hungry. I want wings, you know? But he just doesn't ask for a lot. London, however, she's a little bit in the middle. So she wants, you know, she already sending me prom dresses and just different things.
Yes.
But Judah's all the way on the other side of like, I deserve the world. You feel me? I walk in privilege. I'm Judah Cole. So he definitely walks in that. But even though, because I think it's an important thing for us to recognize, if we started young, broke, married, you know, and then we kind of moved up, it's like we still have to create thankfulness and gratefulness. And I think we would know it because we understand the struggle, but we still have to teach it to our kids because we're trying to heal them from the struggle. And we have, but it's like, no, you got to give them the reality and thankfulness and gratefulness so that they don't turn into little spoiled brats. I mean, you know.
Absolutely.
Janine said her mom asked her what she wanted for Christmas, and she said to babysit the whole weekend. Yes, babysitting is a gift. I think that is a gift. So if you have grandkids on here, babysit them. Please keep the kids. Yes. We live in Rochester now, so we don't really have family out here. But my in-laws were the best. Oh my goodness. They kept our kids. Oh, thank God for them. So my mother-in-law is on here, Nicola Bibb. Thank God for you. Because she kept them kids. That was good. Babysitting is a good gift. Danielle, do you feel like you have good babysitters for the kids? I know now you got older ones, so.
Yeah, so the older ones are the babysitters. So, I'm grateful now. We've got to a place now where I don't have to have babysitters as much. I can, because we had so many, we used to have to split the kids up if we needed to do something. It's like, you get two, you get two, you get two. And, you know, so we had to split them up, but now they're just coasting, y'all. I celebrated this past February. I graduated from having a car seat in our car.
Come on.
For 22 years.
Oh my God.
In our car for 22 years. So it's stuff like that just makes me excited. I'm like, man, so I could look at my 8-year-old now. He could just open the car door and get in and sit down and put his seatbelt on.
Thank
I'm
God.
out. I'm out. 22 years I've served, so it's just truly a blessing. It really is.
That is good. I just thank God for you guys taking the time here. If there's anybody that has any questions for either one of these ladies, I thank you for being raw, Pastor Valerie, and just telling us even about some of the struggles. Because look, if you have family struggles, family strife, the holidays are tough. And so creating your own traditions is super important. When my grandparents passed away, I had put a hard boundary up between me and my mom. And so that was a struggle. It was not easy, and that's a story to tell at a different time on a different day. But that was not an easy thing to go through. Right. And so it's like when you're battling with family strife or estrangement or different things like that, this season can be super hard.
Absolutely.
So be easy on yourself, be easy on your expectations, be easy on your own heart and grief.
That's it.
If you need to grieve this season, do it. If you need to cry it out, do it. If you need, somebody to pray for you, where is your circle of people? Have somebody pray for you, pray over you. This is not easy. If you know that you're dealing with, just certain things that come with family issues, it's like create boundaries that are healthy for you and your family, and don't feel the pressure to be around unhealthy people. Just because they're blood or just because they're family. If you know that they are unhealthy, create the right boundaries and don't feel disappointed or bad about that.
And I think we have to be intentional during this time. We have to know and accept the dynamics of our families. We've got to know what they are, and we have to accept them, because oftentimes the holidays, they do not ease these levels of dysfunction. Everybody has a level of dysfunction that they're dealing with. And you already have the added stress of financial stress. You've got people pleasing. You've got unmet expectation. And the holidays can be so disappointing for so many. So we have to establish those boundaries. We have to accept things as they are and just kind of move forth in finding joy, blessing somebody else, putting the focus on somebody else and not so much on yourself. So the holidays are not something that you just want to avoid altogether.
Right. You're right. Ebony said, yes, whatever you need in this season, get rest, peace, and boundaries. I love that. Rest, peace, and boundaries.
Rest, peace, and boundaries.
Yes, I love that. Yes. And my husband said, know and accept your family dynamics. Yes. I think you know these people. You grew up with them. And so, And so listen, I thank y'all for being on with me today. If anybody has any questions, we got a few minutes to, we'll answer any questions that you may have. I appreciate you guys. I hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. And you know what? I don't want to be, I do a lot of anti-racism work. So I also know how the holidays bring in, like, people don't want to celebrate. People don't want to call it Thanksgiving. People don't want to call it Christmas. Then we deal with the believers who are like, a pagan holiday. I get that too.
Right.
If you don't want to celebrate, don't pressure to celebrate if you don't want to celebrate. If it's not your thing, don't make it be your thing. But what does Tabitha Brown say? If you can't have a good day, don't you dare go messing it up. If you don't want to have a good Thanksgiving or a good Christmas, don't you dare go messing it up for somebody else. And so I think that there's nuances in all these. There's nuances. Oh, we do have a question. Someone says, what is your advice you have for co-parenting and the holidays? I'll start with saying creating a schedule beforehand. Who gets the babies for Christmas and who gets the babies for Thanksgiving, and locking that in as early as possible. Danielle, do you have anything?
I will agree with that as well. If you're a co-parent in a situation where you have to co-parent, I think the biggest thing is making sure you.
I gotta step out. Keep talking.
Okay, I think the biggest thing is you and that the person you're co-parent with are on the same page. It's
That's
very,
it.
very important that you two get on the same page so that it can eliminate the strife, and the child or the children won't have to feel like
Mhm.
they're being pulled left and right.
I agree with you on that, Danielle. And what I was thinking, walk in the spirit of cooperation. Don't
Amen.
make it difficult. Sometimes, the parent can be petty, whether it's the
Yeah,
father or the mother. Come on, it's the holidays. Don't subject the child to the strife, as you said. Just walk in the spirit of cooperation. I have a single parent, and her husband announced, "I want our daughter for Thanksgiving." She says, "Hey, that's fine." But she could have said, "Well, last year I asked you to take her and you didn't have time." But just
yeah,
walk in the spirit of cooperation.
Yeah.
yeah,
And not putting the kids in the middle of
yeah,
y'all's strife.
I
yeah,
agree.
Yeah. And even in gift giving, because then it could be like, well, my daddy gets me the best things, or, my mama this. But I think
Work
if you
together.
have good communication and you not make it about you or him, and you make it about the kid, it can be great.
yeah. I
Do we have
agree.
any other questions? Because we are rounding up. Thank y'all for joining today. Y'all hear me? I had to run up. My computer was about to die. I had to run up and get the charger real quick. Woo! Y'all on mom chat today. I don't have no
Yeah, no.
kids. Come bring me downstairs.
It happens.
Woo, I know. I said, oh no, I gotta be right back. So thank you guys all for joining us today. Enjoy the holiday season. Be blessed. Try to be as stress-free as you can. Try to be mindful of your mental headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And don't
Mm-hmm.
do too much. Don't do too much in this season. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And tell them kids they'll be all right.
Be all right.
They'd be all
They're
right.
gonna be all right. So thank y'all for joining today.
They'll be all right.
And we'll see y'all next month. No, I'm taking off for
Oh,
December.
good.
We'll see y'all next year. We got some plans.
Awesome.
We got some mom chat events planned. So we want to
Oh,
I at least want to pull mom chat off of the internet and do a real live event.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I'm excited. So y'all pray for that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll make it happen. All
All
right.
right.
Take care. Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.